Fantasy football podcast called Living the Stream comes to you each week. Streaming recommendations during NFL season, it's not just tongue-in-cheek. Quarterback, defense, tight end recommendations based on opposition matchup. Here are your podcast hosts, JJs and Danny Carter, living the stream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Dennis Carter, the sixth. Denny, what's going on, buddy?
Sixth. It's just you're just bragging about my all the sex my ancestors have had, I guess. No, it's good. I guess it could be better. I talked about it in my tilt montage that the folks can listen to after the episode is over. A tough night for your boy. And I know you got there. So one of us got there.
Yeah, I mean, look, we both needed Devontae Smith. I needed 5.5-ish half PPR points from, and he barely got there. He still barely got there.
He didn't get there. I needed 10.5 PPR points, and he got 10.3.
Yeah.
So what can you do? Anyway, you can listen to that. I did want to share with the folks that my poor fantasy advice is not isolated to this podcast. It also extends into the real world, into a Christmas party I attended. My mother-in-law always throws this huge Christmas party. It's like the most like gorgeous, perfect Christmas party you could ever imagine. And it's right in my backyard, it turns out, because my mother-in-law lives right behind me. So we were having fun. My cousin-in-law shows up and he says, "Hey, take a look at my lineup. What do I do? What do I do?" Because he had faced, right, I forgot to tell you guys, he had faced Devontae Adams and Josh Palmer on Thursday night. So he was way behind. Okay.
Who's using Josh Palmer that confidently?
I don't know, JJ, and whoever started the Josh Palmer started him over like way better options. So
that's what I'm saying. Sure. I feel like Josh Palmer in a casual. I'm assuming it's like it's not like an ultra competitive. I mean, it's a competitive league, I'm sure. This guy, but like, I mean, maybe
it's a bunch of guys with a lot of money. I'll say that.
Okay. So they're probably into it, but they're not like hardcore to the point where but even maybe Josh Palmer was more attractive to like non-analysts last week. Like I was worried about Josh Palmer only because we had no idea.
Right.
We had no idea how much he was going to play or what that was going to look like with Easton. There was just so much ambiguity. To trust that in the fantasy playoffs was a lot. That was
a good call by whoever did that. So my cousin-in-law says, should I start Jared Goff or Justin Fields? Now, this is right, JJ. This is right before the kickoff of the Detroit-Denver game. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a pretty easy call. Like, it was a bad matchup for the Detroit passing game against the Broncos, who have been really good against the pass. And Justin Fields has the rushing, and he's been rushing 10 times a game, this and that. So I know he's playing the Browns, but I'm like, okay, yeah, no. You got to put Fields in, got to get him in there before this game starts. Don't get locked in to Goff. So he comes back to me 3 hours later, and after more than 2.5 hard seltzers for me, and he goes, "Look at this." And he holds up his phone, and it's like 37 points for Jared Goff. And I thought I was hallucinating. I mean, I thought
you're probably thinking, that's how I felt after Hamilton when I was in New York last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And I'm at, did I talk about this? How I was at Hamilton. The first act ends. I open up my phone. And it was during the Steelers Patriots game, and it was 21-3 or 21-10 at halftime or whatever. I'm like, this isn't real life right now. Like, not only am I experiencing this insane thing on stage, but looking at this score, this does not compute when Bailey Zappi is the quarterback.
Yeah. And then, so he goes on to show other people, look what Denny told me to do. Don't want to bench the guy who scored 37. And so that was slightly embarrassing. Although even at the time I was like, hey, you never know. Justin Fields might do it. I think Justin Fields scored like 11. So
yeah, but my bad. Here's the thing though. Do you feel like it's easier to like, there's a certain person in your life who you don't want to give fantasy advice to. And that's it's the person who you're friends with, but not super tight with, because the super tight friends will understand the ups and downs. And you know, they don't want to make you feel bad for something that you do, because it's your job, right? Like at the end of the day, like to me, I take, like, when I say play this guy, don't play this guy, and I get it completely, I feel horrible. I legitimately feel bad with my patrons and all that. But I do think that there's a type of person where if you have a casual, like, let's say it's like a 50 to 60th percentile friend. Okay. Let's
Of course you break it down like that.
It's like a 55th percentile friend. Okay. That is not the kind of person you want to give fantasy advice to. Let's say the range is like the 20th percentile to the 60th percentile.
Yeah.
Because, you're friendly, like you want to help out, all that kind of stuff, but they don't know you well enough and they don't understand your job and the industry well enough, more than likely, to then sit back and be compassionate about the choice that you made.
Yeah, and by the way, we have a commenter says JJ's Friend Model popping off today. he plugs people into and he said he has me as a 77%.
No, you're a 69th percentile friend.
Oh, nice. Well, that is nice. And I will say I have guided this cousin-in-law to multiple fantasy championships. Like we text quite often, so I'm going to say that I have contributed to this guy's bank account enough to not feel too bad, but boy, did I feel bad about that. Wow. Also, someone came up to me. So I'm at the fire. They have a big fire pit. Okay. Again, I can't emphasize how much I was drinking. And someone comes up to me and goes, hey, I heard you do fantasy analysis for NBC Sports. Yeah. What do you think about Joe Burrow? Yeah. Usually I would have been like, he's good. But because I was in a festive mood, and again, I had been drinking, I went on for like 10 minutes about Joe Burrow. I mean, I'm talking the analytics. I'm talking about the nature of the Bengals offense and Jamar Chase's yak ability and all this shit. I'm sorry to the kids. And I just go on and on and on. And the guy was like, oh, so you do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's we've probably talked about it before, but there's acquaintances and people that you're friends with that they learn what you do, and then they're like, oh yeah, I play fantasy football, and then they talk about their league, and like they think that they're very, very good at and like they understand like they don't understand that, like you don't understand fantasy, like you don't understand what goes on with analysts and like the people who listen to this podcast and how hardcore they are and how hardcore some of these people are like, oh yeah, I have X, Y, and Z on my team, and I'm going to win my fantasy championship this year. I'm very good. And they like, I've spent the last decade of my life with people kind of downplaying and talking down to my job, right? Like that's just the reality of the situation that we're in. It took me probably 3 or 4 years to really get over that, but like it is still a little bit tilting when you talk about what you do, you put so much work and effort into what you do, and then you make one bad decision like that, or you give one bad piece of advice, and then that just wipes away everything.
It does. And by the way, Mallory, our friend of the show, says Denny now knows what it's like to be a woman who says they know about sports. And man, you are right about that, Mallory, because it was one of those situations like, oh, you know about sports? Tell me about Joe Burrow then. And I was like, I was put off by it. I was like, oh, okay, but then I went on and on. But yeah, no, you're right. And by the way, women who have a bad take or whatever in the football industry, whether it's fantasy or whatever, they pay double the price as dudes. They get destroyed, and it's really unjust and aggravating.
Yeah, right. I've never posted a photo and people just immediately comment on my appearance, like immediately, or a video, and immediately people comment on my appearance. I mean, that alone is different enough from what men and women deal with within sports. And then the advice itself too. I mean, people, say really, really derogatory things to, like, just look at the comments of any person who has a moderate following in sports, and it's just absurd. It's insane.
Yeah, Mallory says she gets so you do know what you're talking about all the time. And yeah, I've seen that. Like, I've witnessed that. And some part of me wishes I would speak up a little more on that.
Yeah. You know what another bad feeling is with when you're playing against, like, in like home leagues or what have you. And so usually I make, like, I've won out more often than not in trades that I've made, throughout my fantasy career. I made a really, really horrific trade in hindsight in a league this season. And that person is now probably going to win the championship because of the trade that I made with him.
Do?
I'm not going to dig into the trade because there's a lot of baggage to it. And there's it's just too much to really like break down, but it is like, it's to the point where you then root for that team to lose more than this is like what it's like to be like when I was living in Cincinnati in the beginning, like in the 2010 to 2014 timeframe, 2013 timeframe, they cared more about the Steelers losing than the Bengals winning back then.
Right.
Like that's what they and that's this is the same feeling for me.
It's a bad spot to be in.
It's a bad spot to be in. And then you start thinking existentially all the time. You're like, well, no one, when I'm dead and gone and hopefully 100 years or however long it is, like I'm not going to remember this league, just stuff hopefully. Like that. Like literally none of this matters, but in this 1 or 2 week period of the fantasy football playoffs, like we're going to forget about this in 2 months.
2 months, bro. I'm not going to remember what happened last night by like Christmas.
That's what I'm saying. Right. We're going to forget. And this is really important for everyone to remember who had really bad beats or what have you. Someone said, oh God, JJ traded away his kids. No, I'm not. There's a lot like to this that I don't want to really talk through on the show because it's just going to take too long. But
this is funny. I had to say, like, you could actually probably like sell like an audio recording of you explaining this trade because people want to know. You could sell it for like $99 a piece. Like people would be like, I gotta know.
Probably. But yeah, so like we're gonna forget about that. Like this is important. Like if you lose this week, next week, or if you just lost, just remember that in 2 or 3 months, nothing's gonna matter. Like you're not gonna remember it at all until next football season. And then at the beginning of the draft, the champion might say something and talk a little junk, and then it's over. And then it's done. And you have to just have that perspective during this. Like watching football during the fantasy football playoffs is one of the most stressful things, like first world problem stressful things.
Hugely
on earth. It is insane. Sunday's games were so insanely stressful. The back and forth, the tilt, the fact that some of these great teams that I built are going to just be done and I'm devastated and it's insane. It's crazy. And we go through that too. It's not just you guys.
It's a good sweat. I got to say the best feeling is when you're kind of neck and neck in a championship game or semifinal game, whatever. And then one of your guys hits like a huge play and you're just like, it's over. I won. Yeah. Like that, that to me is the ultimate. Jamal Charles did that for me like twice in the same playoff run. Where I was like dying, like I had to have it, and he ripped off like a really long touchdown. And I was like, oh my God, I won. That's the best.
It's also, I mean, I think that coaches and like players talk about this when they win. And obviously it's a much grander scale, but when they win like a championship, the Super Bowl, whatever, the NBA championship. And I mean, look at Jokic after this year. He didn't even care that they won. He's just like,
that was such a weird reaction.
Yeah, right. But at the same time, it's kind of a real reaction you win. And then, okay, you know what I mean? Like what's next? Like I won my home league a couple of years ago for the first time in like 11 years. I had like this insane drought. I've talked about on the show, insane drought. I made a "We Are the Champions" video with a bunch of like screenshots of people talking junk to me that my team ended up winning. So I was just, I made this and I had that moment, but it passed and it was over and it was done. And then you're just ready for the next season. And I feel like we hype up it's fun for like a day. Like, let's be honest, like it's not fun for that much longer. Then you're just immediately on to the next season, just wanting to do it over and over again.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, the relief of not losing far outweighs the joy of winning, I think.
Yeah.
And Jokic was the embodiment of that feeling when they won the championship, because he actually said on the court as his teammates celebrated, I'm just glad it's over.
Yeah, right.
I'm just glad it's over.
And I'm not going to lie. As a fantasy analyst, that's how I feel when the season ends. I'm just being completely honest. When the season's over, I'm just like, okay, this is how the season went. At the end of the day, it always evens out where I'm winning a fairly similar number of leagues every single year. Like it's always unless I can hit on a big tournament somewhere or something or what have you. But it's usually the same thing every single year. And if I just knew the results, it would be a lot easier to not go through the pain of these 3 weeks.
I know.
But
that's why we like the sweat.
We do like the sweat. I mean, this is all part of the fun, and I understand that, but at the same time, there are times where I'm just like, just get me to the end of this.
We just want this to be over.
I'm drained right now. I cannot handle this anymore. My kid has RSV. I'm dealing with enough crap. I don't need to deal with this garbage football stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I hope he's feeling okay. I mean,
he's
better.
good. He's back. He's back and good. And tomorrow he's turning 1 tomorrow. How crazy is that?
1? What?
I have a 1-year-old.
He's an infant still, I thought.
I know. It's crazy. I think part of it though is that a lot of people knew that we adopted in like June when we announced it, when I announced it. And so like they think that he's, only like 6 months old, but he's, we met him at 6 weeks old, then we had him for a really long time and no one knew and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's gonna be a year old. 1-year-old tomorrow. Let's look at what happened last week. Gardner Minshew, who had 21-ish. I'm not going to give you the decimals today. I'm just going to give you the round up or round down. Okay. Jake Browning, 19. Will Levis, I'm going to give him 15. It's 14.46. That's a round up to 15.
All right.
Nick Mullens, 17. Joe Flacco, 17. Logan Thomas, 2. Davis Allen was not really a streamer after Tyler Higbee ended up playing. He had 2.4. Chigakonkwo, 6.6. Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft, man. He 15.7. He's basically been like better than Luke Musgrave in that offense.
He has been better, yes.
Yeah. Defense. Cincinnati had 7. The Chargers had -3. But it's like that one gif of that girl who goes through all the emotions.
Right.
She's like, yeah, back and forth. Someone's gonna gif that, and it's gonna be bad. Las Vegas had 25 fantasy points. The Vegas call I feel very good about because they were I usually call out one defense in 15 transactions, and that was the defense that I called out last week on 15.
I remember, and I remember thinking that seems risky to me. I don't know, JJ. I don't know.
25. I mean, let's be clear. I did not think that this was going to happen. I did not think that the Chargers were going to look like a high school team. I mean,
you said that the Raiders will score three defensive touchdowns.
That's right. I also, yes, I said that the Chargers were going to look like they were playing with 8 players defensively.
Yep.
That was the most pathetic performance I've ever seen from an NFL team.
I talked with RotoPat on the Roto Football Show just today, and I said that it looked like the soul had left the collective body of the Chargers. Like they just lost their soul.
Yeah. And Brandon Staley, I stand him the year 1. Wow. I think he's kind of obnoxious.
He is. And also he's a totally different coach in year 3 than he was in year 1.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree, at least from like a decision-making standpoint. But I also think that he's just kind of annoying. Like the excuses and stuff and the things that he would talk. He's like, oh, after the game last week, he's like, every coach goes through this kind of, no, actually, no, they don't. They don't go through what you went through. That was it was a backup rookie quarterback and they dropped 63 on you. Like what? No one goes through that.
No one has ever gone through that. No one ever will. And what you went through was so bad that you will never even get a sniff at a coordinator job for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I mean, considering defense was his side of the ball, and that's exactly what the problem has been with the Chargers. The Falcons had 7 and the Rams had 6. So overall, pretty good week, I'd say. Pretty good quarterbacks, pretty good defenses aside from the Chargers. And then Tucker Kraft came through with a nice day. All right, let's move on. We got to do this quick probably because we have a lot of them. I'll kick things off because I have 3 quarterbacks and you have 2. I'm going to kick things off with Joe Flacco, my boy.
Your boy. Your twin.
My boy. My twin. Flacco's averaging 17 points per game this season in his 3 games, and he's faced 3 top half defenses by adjusted points allowed. And so you might be sitting there and saying, oh man, that's not that great when you consider the opponents. Well, Denny, Houston is also a top half opponent in adjusted points allowed. They rank in the top 10. Again, this is a situation where I'm going to feel better about Flacco if Stroud goes. Did he get cleared yet?
Stroud? No.
Yeah, so that's a little bit scary. When it lingers into the next week like that, it's a little bit, scarier. But yeah, if Stroud goes, I'm going to feel a little bit better about it. Could see some big plays here too. Flacco has been pushing it down the field half a yard more in ADOT than Deshaun Watson was, and then well over a full yard more than like Dorian Thompson-Robinson and who am I blanking on right now?
I think that was it, wasn't it?
No, there wasn't. Why am I blanking so hard right now? There's another quarterback that
I don't know.
Someone's gonna tell us.
Yeah,
in
somebody
chat.
tell us the other Browns quarterback. We don't know. There's no way to find out.
The Texans, though, rank 5th in air yards allowed per attempt. So we could see. Oh yeah, PJ Walker. PJ
Yeah,
Walker. My
Thank you.
gosh,
Thank you.
brain fart city over here. I love when that happens. I can just imagine people driving in their cars going, "PJ Walker, it's PJ freaking Walker."
Just screaming, driving off the road.
Just getting so angry at us. We should do it purposely once a show, just to tilt people.
Like the Chargers quarterback, the big kid. What's his name?
Yeah. Someone said Brock Osweiler in chat. Did you see my tweet yesterday before all that Geno Smith, Drew Lock stuff was going on? And I sent a tweet out that said that I was hearing word that Matt Flynn was going to start for Seattle.
Yeah.
And then someone responded and said that his 12-year-old boy didn't have. So he had Geno. His opponent got Drew Lock. So his boy was then going to the waiver wire searching for Matt Flynn off the waiver wire because of me.
Well,
and I responded and I said, this is sometimes you just gotta learn, you gotta live and learn.
We love the kids.
It's gotta be tough sometimes on you. Anyway. All right, move on. Next quarterback.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm not the quarterback, but I will talk about Gardner Minshew against Atlanta. So the Falcons are like middle of the pack in most pass defense metrics, including EPA allowed. Teams have passed at only a 55% rate against the Falcons in neutral game script. That's the 5th lowest pass rate in the league. So, we could be in a situation where the Colts get a lead and then kind of establish it. That wouldn't be great for volume purposes for Minshew. Just wanted to mention that. But before going super run heavy this past week against Pittsburgh, the Colts were actually above their expected dropback rate in their previous 4 games, most of that without Jonathan Taylor. I think there's a chance. that Minshew can get there again. The touchdowns are gonna not be there in such copious amounts this week probably, but it's a fine spot.
What are your thoughts on, first off, Flacco versus Minshew? But then what if Minshew doesn't have Pittman? Are you assuming Pittman's out?
Well, I was, but then I assume that on Sunday and Monday and then today, and then folks are telling me that, oh no, he's fine, he'll play.
For Pittman?
I'm like, yeah, Pittman took the worst shot in the history of the game. Like, what is it?
Yeah, there's a really interesting theory from Edwin Polras about I don't think he's been incredibly vocal. He just basically, I don't know, I shouldn't call it a theory, but this idea, and he's thrown it out there, that just it's not shocking that better players who suffer concussions find the field quicker than worse players.
If there's some data to back that up, I'm all about it. Because from a anecdotal standpoint, that absolutely happens. Trevor Lawrence played half the game on Monday with clearly a concussion.
Yeah, TJ Watt had the situation happen, and then Chris Olave came back really quick. And look, I'm not saying that they didn't go through protocol and they didn't. I mean, there's bad players that get through too. It's just it seems like anecdotally that they push the better players, the more important players, a little bit quicker through this, which makes me, I think the number is 30 to 40% end up playing the following week after a concussion, which gives him, better than not odds to not play Pittman, that is. But maybe since he's a better player, it's a true 50-50 thing.
Minshew would be a lot less appealing without Pittman, obviously.
What are you going, Minshew over Flacco? Because I might go Flacco over Minshew this week.
No. I think I like Flacco over Minshew, even if Pittman plays.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then we're on the same page there. Next one, Nick Mullens. This game has a decent 46.5 point over under Minnesota. It's crazy that in today's, I feel like in 2020, a 46.5 point over under was terrible. And now it's oh wow, this could be a shootout. This is gonna be fun. Nick Mullens versus Jared Goff. Yeah.
Let's go.
Minnesota has the 14th best implied team total on the slate. Detroit, 5th best matchup for quarterbacks by adjusted points allowed. He's got Jefferson back and healthy. I don't think Mullens is that bad of a play. I think of this list that we're talking about, I'd probably put him 3rd behind Flacco and Gardner Minshew.
Vikings remained pass heavy last week, even with Mullens, relatively pass heavy. So we got that. I have Tommy DeVito against the Eagles. And folks, this is a thin play. Many are calling this the thinnest play, but the Eagles are 11.5 point favorites against the Giants. So lots of negative game script, probably a lot of dropbacks for young DeVito. He has 20 rushing attempts over his past 2.5 games. Of course, he had to leave the game this past week, and I believe in the first half, with a head injury, right? I think that was it. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. By the way, I think old Tommy is in maximizing his brief 15 minutes of fame here, is alienating a lot of potential supporters by jacking up his appearance fees, which I read about online. Not sure that's the best way to go, Tommy, if you're listening.
Yes. I'm trying to see if he was like in protocol or anything like that, but I don't think that it was anything. I know that it was a really bad hit. I remember the hit, but I don't remember exactly what happened, like from an injury perspective.
We have a Casey Cheney in the chat says, DeVito is a thin play, thin as the salami DeVito wears on a chain around his neck. And that's just in case he gets a little hungry. He's a little peckish during the game. He can just eat some salami.
Are you sick of the Italian storyline, or are you still for it?
I'm still for it, I guess, for now. But, you know, as long as it's not offending anybody. I don't think it's offending anybody.
No. I mean, like we said before, Tommy DeVito is now more famous than Mike Trout. And maybe even like Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he is more famous than the majority of baseball players.
I think that's correct. Folks got really mad when I said that that was true, but we are underestimating the popularity of the National Football League.
Yes. Derek Carr is next. He gets the Rams. I'm not like in love with this play. This is the most average, like mediocre streamer you can find. Finally got over 20 points this last week. Showed some signs of life. Hopefully Chris Olave is back this week. Sounds like he was close last week, so I'm going to say that he's probably going to play this week.
Yeah.
I know it's Thursday though, so it's a shorter week. The Rams are the 8th best matchup by adjusted points allowed this season. I will say this, usually I like when streamers have performed well against bad opponents, because when they get a bad opponent, we can say, hey, play this guy confidently. Derek Carr, there's literally zero predictability with when he's going to be good. Like it doesn't matter what that opponent looks like from an adjusted points allowed standpoint or anything. It's just, he had a good game this week, and therefore he's going to be okay in fantasy. So I don't know how much that matchup thing matters. Thursday night game too. I mean, I would probably play him over DeVito, but I definitely like the other three more than Carr this week.
Well, they didn't really use Taysom. Taysom's package was quite small this past week, so Carr benefited from that. Are we on to tight ends?
Sure, kick it off.
Tucker Kraft against Carolina. Tucker Kraft, of course. It's a bad matchup. There's no way around it. I mean, the Panthers' defense is just aggravating, honestly. Like
it is. It's not bad. They have pieces on the defense. Like it's not that bad of a defense to begin with. But then when you add on top such a bad offense,
right? The
game scripts and the games that Carolina plays in are just so bad. They're so bad for fantasy.
Yes, they are. It's a bad matchup, but Kraft is running about 80% of the routes since he took over that full-time role in the Green Bay offense. 16 targets over the past 3 games, and Green Bay has the 7th highest pass rate over expected in the red zone. That should be pretty good for Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, look, a lot of injuries too with Green Bay. Jaden Reed's banged up a little bit. Hopefully he's able to go though. Christian Watson obviously banged up too, so that's another reason why Tucker Kraft could be a play. Hunter Henry, I think, is the top streamer this week. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, with Bailey Zappi, yeah.
Over his last 2 games, he scored 19 PPR points. He had, 2 weeks ago against Pittsburgh, an 11.5% target share. So you're like, oh yeah, it's kind of a fluky game. Touchdowns driving it. But then this past week, it was 29%. He had a crazy target share against Kansas City. Route participation over the last month and a half versus the first half of the season has risen by about 13 percentage points. So he has been running routes at a higher rate than he was earlier this season. And Denver, Denny, is the 2nd best matchup for tight ends by adjusted points allowed.
They are. That's a good play. Just learned that last night, actually. And we have Cade Otton. Cade Otton against the Jags. Look, Cade Otton is our cardio king. He's out there. He's running hard. Running a lot of routes. Running a lot of routes from the slot. We like that. Jacksonville has allowed 16 tight end receptions over the past 2 games. So you could do worse.
We have an absurd number of defenses because quarterbacks suck across the league. So we'll go through this quick. You can go with Green Bay versus Carolina. The last 8 opponents that Carolina has faced has finished as top 8, has finished as top half options in fantasy football. all of them have scored 7 or more fantasy points defensively. Carolina's offense sucks. Green Bay, they were rough last week, but Carolina's offense is 31st in total touchdowns, 29th in sack rate allowed, or 3rd in sack rate allowed, whatever. And they're bottom 10 in pressure rate allowed. So the offense is bad, and you can play Green Bay as a result.
Quite bad. Seahawks against Titans. This is what we call a sack-based floor because Will Levis has been sacked on 10% of his dropbacks. That's one of the highest rates in the league since he took that starting job in Tennessee. He was sacked 7 times in Week 15 against Houston. I mean, the Seahawks are not exactly a fearsome front seven, but if they can get to Levis, I think that they can give you some sort of floor here.
Looked pretty good last night, I'd say, defensively. I know it was kind of, crummy-ish weather, but they still... Using the word crummy, by the way, that was a really dad word to use.
No, yes, it was. By the way, my favorite thing about last night was, not my favorite. One of my favorite things was folks who said Pete Carroll was right to ignore the analytics on 4th down because, quote, it was raining.
I'm so sick.
The analytics don't work when it rains.
Yeah, what was it? Joe Buck who said something along the lines of that the algorithms, the analytics don't understand that Drew Lock is playing quarterback for Seattle.
Yes.
I'm just so over the discourse around analytics on television. It's pathetic.
It's so derisive, right? Like every time Buck and Aikman talk about the analytics, they're like talking about like a clown show. They're like, geeks are saying to go for it on 4th and inches from the 50. Well, we know real football is punting it from there into the end zone.
Right. As if Joe Buck knows more football than you and I.
I mean, but he says it in a way where he has like plausible deniability when he's like, well, the analytics say to go for it. And if someone were to challenge him on that, he was like, hey, I'm just reporting the facts. But Aikman is there to pick it up. Aikman knows what he's saying. So Aikman picks it up and he's like, well, back when I played, we just punted it and we won Super Bowls.
Yeah, exactly. Denver is rostered in a high number of leagues. Green Bay is kind of in the same category, but we want to give you as many defensive picks as possible in the playoffs. Denver had a rough week last week, but we know that Detroit's pretty good offensively. Before last week, they were a top 6 defense in 5 of their 6 games. They played really well defensively. They're a 6-point favorite, 34.5 point over under. It's really just a process thing against New England. I think that they should bounce back nicely in this matchup.
I have the Rams against the Saints. The Saints are not exactly a terrible, or like a very giving offense, but could be a sack-based floor because Derek Carr is being pressured at a very high rate, and the Rams over the past month have pressured the passer at the 5th highest rate. So let's go with sack-based floor.
Washington gets the Jets. I know that Washington sucks defensively. I'm definitely worried about that. So you can bump them down versus some of the other streamers. They had 3 sacks though last week. They did combine for 0 against Dallas and Miami, but that could be game script and just matchup related too. They have the second worst pressure rate since the trade deadline because they obviously gave up some guys who can get to the quarterback. They have the 3rd worst passing EPA per dropback allowed this season. They're bottom 5 in rushing yards over expected per rush since the deadline. They're arguably the worst defense in football. Like they're horrible defensively.
I don't know how the Rams didn't score more points.
Me either. But you look at this game, the Jets are equally as bad offensively. This game only has a 37.5 point over under. There's a 3-point spread. You're playing the Jets defense over Washington, but I still don't think Washington's a bad, like they're not a great play, but they're not a bad play.
The Jets defense makes me nervous, JJ. I don't know. I because of the quarterback play, like if Zach Wilson doesn't start, and this sounds crazy. I'm actually saying these words and I feel crazy, but if Zach Wilson doesn't start, I'm worried about the Jets defense because no other quarterback can create any sort of normal game script for this Jets defense.
You're not wrong.
Put them in terrible spots.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I would say, I mean, I did my defensive rankings before the show just to have like a quick out. They're my 14th ranked defense this week right now, Washington. So it's not like they're this obvious go-to play. This is definitely a deeper play versus the other ones that we're talking about.
Do I have any more?
You have Houston.
Oh, yes, I do. I do have Houston against Cleveland. So Flacco threw 3 interceptions last week. Flacco, honestly, look, I watched a lot of game film. You guys know this. I did cover this game for NBC. Flacco should have had 6 or 7 interceptions against the Bears. Like he was really close to having a nightmare meltdown sort of game. And I do think that, with a team like Flacco is good because the Browns are so pass heavy, right? But also whoever plays against him should be good because they're going to have lots of opportunities to create turnovers on those dropbacks.
Yep. Exactly. So I like Houston too. And then the last one, Chicago, the team that faced Flacco this past week. The Bears rank in the top 10 in the league in pressure rate since the trade deadline, since that Sweat trade. Sweat now has the team lead in sacks on both Washington and Chicago.
That's crazy. And the whole discourse around him being a bad trade target turns out to be incorrect.
Yeah, I mean, they signed the deal, fortunately. If they wouldn't have signed the deal, it would have been bad. But, the Bears are 4.5-point favorites in this game against Arizona. The Cardinals are allowing 3 sacks per game, about 3 sacks per game since Kyler Murray returned. So I like the Bears. Someone asked in the chat, and I think it's fine to kind of get to this type of question because it's the playoffs and it's important for people to wrap their heads around who to play defensively. Chiefs, Broncos, or Bears in week 16. So the Chiefs get the Raiders, the Broncos get the Patriots, the Bears get the Cardinals.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with the Chiefs in that one. But not I'll say that the Chiefs and the Broncos for me are in the same tier. And then the Bears are in the next tier down. But I think all three are pretty good plays.
I might go Broncos. Honestly.
Okay. Broncos or Chiefs are fine, I think. And here's the other thing with the Broncos, that next week they have a plus matchup too. So you can literally just ride them out the rest of the season. They get the Chargers next week. So
oh boy, the soulless Chargers.
Yeah. So to recap, we got the Bears, the Seahawks, the Commanders, the Rams, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Packers. We have almost a quarter of the NFL. Tucker Kraft, Hunter Henry, and Cade Otton, and then Tommy DeVito, Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco, Nick Mullens, and Derek Carr. All right, let's get to the questions. This is from @PZantello40. What has been more impactful on your lives? This is from last week. Granola bars or the Louisiana Purchase?
I mean, I'm sure in indirect ways, the Louisiana Purchase has been more impactful on my life.
I think granola bars might be the answer, though.
Look,
if New Orleans wasn't part of that, then I would definitely say granola bars. New Orleans is a great town, man.
I've never been.
Oh, it's one of the best cities in the country.
Yeah, that's what the kids say. I will say with granola, I do have a granola bar story. If you guys have a second, I'm sure you do.
Who has a okay? Go, yeah. Who has a granola bar story?
So when I was 18 and 19, I worked at a country club near my house, and it was horrible. I used to have to get there at 4:30 in the morning, clean the freaking carts, and it was terrible. And we had to split tips, and look, I'm left of left politics wise, but I wanted my own dang tips. I didn't want to share. Anyway, I used to get so hungry that I would go into the clubhouse and I would, for lack of a better term, steal granola bars and stuff them in my shorts and go and just eat them throughout the day. And I didn't pay for them, and I didn't even feel bad about it because I wasn't getting paid much. So
how long ago was this?
I was like 18, 19.
Man, I hope that
that country club no longer exists. So
I was gonna say I hope the statute of limitations is
I think it is, and I'm not sure if they're gonna go after me for some nature valleys.
So were they nature valleys, the ones that you open up and just get literally all over your desk?
That's right. You have to open it like this, like over your face, or you're not going to get any of them. They just pour out.
Speaking of granola, the best granola on the planet. My wife jokes with me and says that it's my girlfriend because it's this brand called Sweet Elizabeth. Okay, and she's always saying like Elizabeth is my girlfriend. Yesterday, I got a bag of Sweet Elizabeth. They're regular granola. It's delicious, by the way. Everyone should eat it. And I go and I just dump, like it was towards the end of it, right? Because it's just granola. There's nothing more. And there's like little pieces. And I put my mouth and I go to eat it. And one of the little pieces just went directly to the back of my throat. And I just start choking. And I'm like, Like, is this how I'm gonna go? Is this how is this how this ends? Is me choking on sweet Elizabeth's granola? Is that how it's gonna happen?
That's pretty good. Yeah, I could see her like hearing you talk to someone and be like, yeah, I got to go get more sweet Elizabeth.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's become a thing. Everyone should check it out. I'm not even sponsored by Sweet Elizabeth.
Can't get enough sweet Elizabeth.
It's delicious. Yeah, someone, as Vidima says in chat, of all days.
Of
Yes,
all
of all
days.
days.
You could have choked any other day, but on a Monday, God.
And Sweet Elizabeth, for the record, Sweet Elizabeth has a lot of different flavors too of granola.
Is it soy and gluten free?
Yes,
Wait.
it's actually called Purely Elizabeth, not Sweet Elizabeth. We joke that it's Sweet Elizabeth.
Well, that ruins the whole joke.
No, it's Purely Elizabeth, but we call her Sweet Elizabeth because she's my girlfriend, of course. Anyway, next question. At ALEDS77. This one's for Denny. This one's particular for you. Okay. I beat someone in fantasy this week who I very much respect. We can call him Kenny Darter to protect his identity. I think he's very upset about it based on some rumblings I found on the internet. For late round QB, any advice on how to make it up to him and ease his suffering? Do you have anything to? I mean, I know it's for me, but do you have anything to comment about this question?
Yeah, well, this is my Devontae Smith tilt. I lost to this fine gentleman by 0.2 or 0.3 or whatever it was. So, is there anything he can do? He can retroactively tell me to play Chase Brown over Gabe Davis if he wants to go back.
Man, Gabe Davis. How about Gabe freaking Davis? 0 fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games.
Someone told me, by the way, online, someone told me at some point, Denny, you need to take responsibility for playing Gabe Davis. And that's not entirely wrong, but I do have to put some context in it. This is not like a 12-team league. This is a 14-team league. And there are, 3 flex spots?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a deep league, but you still played Gabe Davis.
I did, but I did.
I get it. I understand.
It hurts.
In a lineup that deep, it's fine to just throw some darts at these high upside, high variance players. And that's all you did. But you got to also just take that L with Gabe Davis. That's just how it goes.
I'm going to take the L. Kenny Darter.
Yeah, there you go. The Darter voice. We haven't heard the Darter voice in a while.
Someone
Next
says
question.
I've been caught in 4K. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what all that's about. Next question at Didymus says, in soccer, there's a tradition of doing a muted celebration if you score a goal against your former team, provided you left the team on decent terms. Do you think this is even possible in American football?
What is it now? It's
a muted celebration. I think it's like, I'm assuming it's like you pay respects and you don't like go wild and do like the crazy, shirt on top of your, over your head kind of deal.
It's not possible. In fact, guys go extra crazy when they score against the former teams. I mean, you saw Jake Browning losing his mind over beating the Vikings, his former team, this past week.
Yeah, I feel like that's never gonna, like, there's just a different clientele with football players versus soccer players.
Yeah, I think so. Here's my old man take on the celebrations. Like, I think during the COVID season, it became a thing for defenses to run to the camera and do a whole defensive unit celebration.
Yeah.
And that I was like, okay, all right, finding some joy in like the darkness of the COVID season. I get that. But we're 3 years removed now, and I don't need a ticker tape parade every time a defense recovers a fumble. Like, come on, man. Just pick it up and go to the sideline.
That is a boomer take. It is a boomer take.
I mean, I truly, I hate joyous things. I hate celebrations in sports. I hate them. Hate them. I wish they would all go away. And I know that puts me in line with people who I disagree with on almost everything. But I'm so I love like Ricky Williams, the fact that he didn't give a shit. Like, he would just score a touchdown and throw the ball and be like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's my job.
I like a quick dance. I'm a quick dance kind of guy. Enjoy yourself. It's sort of the way that I view winning a fantasy championship. Enjoy it for like 48 hours and like talk your shite. Right? I don't swear. You swear on here.
I know. I'm sorry. I've said it twice. The kids.
I know the kids are upset. You enjoy it for like that 2-day period when you win, and then you move on. So it's like this is all from a time perspective, a lot truncated. It's more truncated in a football game. It's like a 3-hour game versus a full season.
Yeah.
That you would be able to talk shite. And I think that a quick dance, like Jalen Waddle's waddle is a very cute thing.
It's fine.
It's cute. It's fun. Let him do.
That's dumb.
Let him do
I'm
it.
sorry. It's dumb. The waddle thing is stupid. I hate it.
The waddle thing is fun. It's a fun thing.
I hate it.
Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. You don't like Justin Jefferson's?
What does he do? I don't know. I haven't seen him score a touchdown since last year.
Oh wow. Oh, all right. We're moving on. We're moving on to the next question. Denny's a hater. This is from @JustinWhiteVA. If you can add Justin Fields to any franchise next year, which is it?
Any?
Yeah, I think that my answer is an Arthur Smithless Falcons team would be kind of fun.
It would be.
That would, but I do worry about passing volume a little bit in that case. I think that a really interesting team for a Kyler or for a Justin Fields this offseason is Pittsburgh.
Yeah, maybe. That's
it.
I don't know. I feel like they're don't take this the wrong way, JJ, but I feel like they're too talented for Pittsburgh. Like I
mean, you're not I don't care. Yeah. I don't disagree, but that's why I think it would be interesting to invoke a change. Like that would be a dramatic shift in the way that the Steelers operate. If they get a true dual threat, quarterback who can who really, it's just something they haven't had really since Cordell Stewart. And so it would be fun. It would be fun to see that.
It would be fun, but like I feel like the Steelers fans want like a lunch pail guy who is not actually good, but like
Kenny Pickett.
I mean, they wanted Kenny Pickett desperately to do well.
Roethlisberger embodies Pittsburgh pretty well. I mean, aside from all the off the field shenanigans.
I mean, Roethlisberger's not working out. He's not watching his weight. He's not doing anything. He's just there to just launch it downfield, folks.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell would have been perfect in Pittsburgh.
Hey, by the way, we have a comment here. Is it time for Mike Tomlin? Is it time to make?
I've been a defender. I've been a Mike Tomlin apologist to some degree because Pittsburgh fans for years have been saying that he deserves to be canned.
That's crazy until now.
I agree. I think from a process standpoint, it doesn't make that much sense to have fired him, whenever they were calling for his head. I think that there is at least a discussion that needs to be had. I do. And he would be picked. If Mike Tomlin leaves, he would go to Washington immediately and he'd probably make them a playoff team. Right. I understand that I get it. Like, I'm just saying that in general, he's a good coach. Like, I do think he's a good coach. I think that at this point, it's just not working anymore with this franchise. And we see that sometimes happen where coaches, I mean, like look at like a Tony Dungy or something like that, where he then goes to Indianapolis and he was always solid. He was always really, really good. But there's plenty of coach examples where sometimes you gotta move on. But I think the Steelers are way too loyal. So Mike Tomlin has a 3-year leash still, I think.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, they will not fire him. No way. He might leave on his own at some point, but they won't fire him. He's a great leader and an excellent motivator. Yeah. I would want him in my franchise.
Yes.
I would say the caveat would be, Mike, you got to hand over offensive stuff and in-game decision-making to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, they need a new coordinator, offensive coordinator. And yeah, the in-game decision-making is horrible. He's always been horrible. It's always been his worst trait by far.
Really, truly horrible stuff in-game, I will say. We have a question. Do you guys answer questions about fantasy? The answer is no.
No, we don't.
All right, next question.
@Mana_dork. Rank these chores from best to worst, okay? We're ranking chores on this podcast. Manually washing dishes, folding laundry, vacuuming the house / scrubbing the floors.
Oh,
deep cleaning the bathroom.
Oh, good God.
It started out okay, these are I think we'd both agree that manually doing the dishes and folding laundry are the top two to do. Yeah. Right. I would say that folding laundry is better than manually. I like doing the dishes more than laundry because I don't mind whenever I have the dishwasher. I have a third rack. I don't
you have your fourth story.
I have a 2-story dishwasher in my home. Yeah. So it's easy for me to do that. No, but here's my thing. When you're folding laundry, you can do other things like watch TikTok or listen to a podcast or what. So to me, it's easier to be engaged on other things and consume things in this year 2023 than if you're scrubbing the floors and deep cleaning the bathroom.
Bro, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if folks will look at me differently after this. I've never deep cleaned a bathroom.
Ever. Not even when did you ever live alone?
No, I moved right from my parents' house into a townhouse with Melissa.
Yeah, I mean I'm sure a lot of people have experienced the same. I lived alone for a year after college. My wife and I did a separate, just because she had lived in a sorority house throughout college and like she wanted to have her own space. And then basically halfway through our lease, I basically like moved in with her because we bought a TV together. And I was like, oh yeah.
well, at this point where it's a sunk cost.
Yeah. I mean, back then, like a 60-inch TV was a big deal. So I like took my Xbox over there and I was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to live here now. But I did have to do some cleaning whenever I was living alone. And I did some cleaning whenever I don't really do the bathroom cleaning. But whenever I was in college, I lived with 2 other guys and I was doing some cleaning in the bathroom because I didn't want some nasty, like we had parties and stuff. I didn't want to have like crappy looking bathroom.
Okay. So like I've cleaned my bathroom and I've cleaned the kids' bathroom, but I've never gotten on my hands and knees and scrubbed the floor.
Yeah. I've never scrubbed the floor before.
Okay. That's what I mean. Actually, by deep clean, I've like gotten in there, like the nasty stuff. Well, we don't have to get into it, but like the disgusting stuff in a bathroom. Like I've done that, just so folks know. But like I've never scrubbed a floor. Sorry.
Yeah. No, those are the 2 worst though. Those 2 other ones.
Yeah.
At Justin White VA says, in honor of the greatest Christmas present I ever received as a kid, the tournament table. Remember those? Would you rather play air hockey, pool, or ping pong? And then it also says, and if you had to play one to save your life, what would it be?
What's that to save your life? Well, I had a pool table growing up, and so I got pretty good. Although I have not had a pool table for several years since we moved into our current house.
I feel like that pool's probably a little bit like riding a bike, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident with the old pool cue.
Yeah,
so maybe I'll choose pool.
I'm pretty bad at pool. I'm competent. It's like golf for me. Pool is like golf for me, where I'm competent enough that you're not going to be slowed down, right? But I'm not going to wow you with my swing and my game, right? Same deal with pool. So that comes down to air hockey and ping pong for me. I'd probably lean ping pong, but I'm not one of those crazy ping pong players either, where some people are like, no, I'm good at ping pong. And then they're like freaking amazing at ping pong. You know what I'm talking about?
I know. Listen, we had a converted, so the pool table converted into a ping pong table.
That's what this guy's that's what this guy's talking about here.
So people would come over and like guys I didn't really know, or like my dad's friends or whatever, and they would, I've played a little in the past, played in college, we'll see.
Yeah. Crazy spin.
And I think I'm good, right?
Yeah.
And they're putting spin on the ball where I'm hitting it normally, and the ball's like spinning 15 feet right. Like off the paddle. Right.
Exactly. Like I'm good at ping pong from the perspective of I can really hold a volley well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Like I can, and I'll be able to hit some crazy shots, like flying around, jumping around and stuff. Air hockey, I'll say, oddly, the one thing that we had in our basement growing up was an air hockey table.
Okay.
But I think there's too much variance in air hockey to let your life be on the line for that.
It's all luck. Come on.
Yeah, it's too much variance in air hockey's fun, but it's way too much variance. I mean, I used to just take my 2 fingers and just fling the what do you call it? Like the stick. Like the thing that you like the handle that you use.
Okay, the handle, yeah.
Yeah. And you just fling it. Like you just go, and that's how you get a lot of speed on it and stuff. But it's just all luck. And then we had like a triangle puck and like a diamond puck, and you can play with all these different pucks. Air hockey has more variance than week 15. I mean, it's crazy.
You know what I real quick, just while we're on ping pong, my favorite shot used to be to put an insane amount of top spin on the ball. And it was almost like a change up, because I would actually hit it a little bit higher than usual, but it would have so much top spin that it would look slow. But then when it hit the table, that top spin would pick up and it would boom. And and the person had no chance. They had no chance to return that.
Sounds like you're good at ping pong.
I was good. If you gave me one where I could just put the top spin on it, I could get you. But otherwise, not so good.
Justin has another question. Says, am I a Grinch for not wanting NFL games on Christmas Day, or do I simply not want my wife and kids to leave me?
No, it's awful. It's awful. Let's be honest.
It's awful. And do we know for sure if like fantasy platforms are going to push waivers a day? Because I'm going to be annoyed if all like for Tuesday to Wednesday waivers. I'm assuming, let's just assume it stays the same. Next week, my schedule is going to be way different. I'm only doing two late round podcasts and stuff, whatever. But I usually record 15 transactions and do 15 transactions on Monday. I'm not doing it on Christmas. Sorry to the people, but I will do it on Tuesday and then publish it on Tuesday and get it all out on Tuesday. But I just was wondering if do you think that they're going to, because they did it before, they've done it before where they've changed waiver days. That's more for the schedule though, like more for like the pandemic schedule when that was going on, when like the Steelers played on a Wednesday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Keep an eye on that if you're still alive. But yeah, the football on Christmas thing is really, really annoying.
It's so bad. Like, I want to see these games, but I'm not going to be able to see a lot of them because I have Christmas Eve obligations.
Yeah.
Obviously, big time Christmas Day obligations. Like for my job, I'm going to have to cover a couple of these games, but other than that, I'm not going to see. Like last week, Saturday, I didn't see 1 second of those games. Not one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one game on Christmas would be something, but they have 3 on Christmas. I mean, it's literally just like it's like it was on Saturday, where you get the 1 o'clock, the 4:30, and the 8:15. Just make an 8:15 game where everyone's settled down. You've already had your dinner. You already did presents. Everything's over. Your kids are in bed. Do it at do the 8:15 one, but don't do the other ones. It's just greedy and obnoxious.
NFL, leave us alone for one day. Leave us alone.
That's from Denny. He moved his microphone closer to his mouth. All right, next question. At Tilt to Buddhism. For some reason, that handle cracks me up. When you go into a bathroom and need to use a stall, do you all do the duck down and look for feet maneuver first? I forgot to and ended up walking into one and sitting right down on some dude's lap.
No, that's not real.
That's just a joke probably. But do you look for feet before pushing the door?
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, you can usually like when your vantage point, you can kind of see the feet as you're walking towards the stalls. You don't need to really duck.
You don't have to like get down on the floor to look at.
Yeah, start doing push-ups before you get into the stall.
Yeah, no, I mean you should be able to quite easily detect feet dangling, before you get right next to the stall.
Yeah, you can detect, and also you can kind of detect when there's like people around you and like a presence of someone, and so like if you can kind of, I don't
know, what are you, a ghost whisperer?
I don't know, if you can feel that someone's sitting in there taking a D, like you can. I probably should have phrased that differently. You can definitely not walk in. We're gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah.
At Sporty Gandalf. My daughter got pink eye last week, so we will now be referring to JJ as patient 0 in our household. We would never blame CJ. Of course. I had pink eye a couple weeks ago. Any experienced dad tips for how to fend off the worst of the daycare illnesses? Vitamin C, elderberry, some sort of animal sacrifice?
Stop. Yeah. Out of those 3 things, the animal sacrifice is the one I haven't tried.
Yeah, okay? Right. Try everything else. You just try everything whenever.
Let's be honest. None of that stuff works. Vitamin C, please, honestly. Okay, elderberry. You
I don't totally back what Denny's saying, but I'm not gonna push any sort of agenda on this podcast.
I'm a longtime anti-vitamin C advocate, so I mean
I don't really take that much vitamin C, to be fair. I do take vitamin D, and I have gotten my vitamin D, and I try to get outside a lot to get natural vitamin D as well. Vitamin D is very, very important for you.
It is. No,
a lot of people have insufficient vitamin D too.
Yes, I take vitamin D. I have right here. The light being cast on me right now is from a vitamin D lamp.
Do you take vitamins every day?
Just
like
vitamin D in the winter.
Okay, you take vitamin D in the winter. Here's my for everyone who's so curious. Here's my vitamins that I take.
Yeah.
Right? I do fish oil, not a high dosage because I don't want to like really screw up my. I don't know. There's some like weird stuff on fish.
You don't want to turn into a fish.
Yeah, right. I do fish oil. I do a B complex. I do a vitamin D, and then I also do magnesium. Magnesium is a game changer for me. It was a game changer.
Yeah,
Legit.
tell me about that. How so?
Relaxes you, puts you in a better mood.
Right.
It makes you feel better. Magnesium does. You guys should definitely try magnesium.
I have tried on and off. I used it.
Spray it. You can spray it on your body too. You can get like magnesium spray, put it on the bottom of your feet. Like do it here tonight, Denny. Order some magnesium spray.
I have some. Oh no,
okay.
Not spray. Sorry, not spray.
Okay, yeah, you got to get the spray. And if you're in like a kind of stressful mood or whatever before bed, spray it on the bottom of your feet. Put some socks on. You got to sleep in socks. I know that's kind of a weird thing. Put some socks on though. You'll feel nice and relaxed as you go to sleep.
That's interesting. It's a little weird, but I'll go with it. I actually have. I should say I take L-theanine pretty much every day.
Okay.
Which is a calming complex.
Someone said zinc, and I only take zinc whenever I am ill, and I don't even do it that frequently when I'm ill. I should. Yeah. I think zinc. People have sworn by zinc.
People love their zinc, folks.
They do. I don't think we can answer any more questions because we kind of got on a little bit of a tangent there with our vitamin usage. But look, people need to know what their podcast hosts take every day. They need to understand what we're consuming for our body. They need to get
right. And JJ just takes a bunch of fish oil until he grows a fin.
That's right. But you guys should seriously try the magnesium stuff. Also, magnesium. I throughout my life have gotten migraines, especially when I was younger. I got a ton of migraines growing up, and to the point where I had like CAT scans and MRIs, all this kind of stuff. And I hadn't had them for a while, and then last year started getting them a little bit. I had like 3 of them, and then I had like 1 this year. And the one thing that I have found to help a little bit with the migraines is magnesium. Yeah.
I didn't know you're a magnesium truther. This is good to know.
I am a definite magnesium truther. You guys should take magnesium. It's great. It's a great tool for your bod.
Yeah, we should say that JJ is being paid by Big Magnesium.
Yes, because it's so expensive. All right, Denny, let everyone know where they can find you.
At CD Carter 13 on the platforms called X and Threads, folks. And check out all my work on NBCsports.com.
We also had someone, Toronto Dave said, drink more water at all. Like adding everyone.
I'm so tired of water, please.
Look, I'm a water truther too. I got Mo Alley Cox sitting right next to me on every show. I just don't take a swig out of it because then people are gonna think that I'm weird.
I mean, it takes great effort to drink out of that thing.
It does. My muscles have gotten a lot bigger since drinking out of Mo Alley Cox. That's for sure.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You could crush your skull if you drop that on your.
It's true. It's true. You can find me on Twitter at LateRoundQB. All my work over on LateRound.com. Denny, we got a tilt montage, yeah?
We do. It's a good one.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We will talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to Living the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the internet podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live